There were plenty of times that I wasn't sure if it was worth the fight, but there was this undercurrent of love, and I held on to the hope that we would find our way back to that. I could never show up for you or see you in a different way unless I learned to show up for myself. It really is the key for all of this.
Welcome back to another episode of Conversations with the Capones. Today you have the Capones. On our anniversary, today we've been married for 26 years. We've been together for 29. And we're going to talk about how we stayed together all these years through highs and lows. It's been a bit of a roller coaster, but I know we are stronger than we have ever been. And so we're going to try to tell you some of our secrets and what makes us work.
Recently, the vets team took a poll and put out on Instagram, like, what topics do you want to hear about? And the number one response was relationships. And so it's quite fitting that on our 26th wedding anniversary, we would film an episode about our marriage and our relationship before the marriage and all of the ups and downs and sort of what has worked for us in strengthening our relationship. So sum up the last it's really 29 years we've been together, but 26 years of marriage in a word or a sentence.
Chaotic. Love. I think deep love. I mean, this is the reason we've stayed together for all these years. It's the only way to stay together. At the core of it, we love each other dearly. We have always loved each other dearly, and our bond is stronger than it's ever been. And I think that's what kept us going for so many years is looking out ahead of how a relationship can be versus maybe what it's been through some of the downtimes, which have been tough for us.
And if I were going to sum it up in a word or a sentence or a phrase, I would say worth the fight. There were plenty of times that I wasn't sure if it was worth the fight, but to your point, there was this undercurrent of love. And even when I felt like I didn't recognize you or know you or have a connection with you anymore, I held on to the hope that we would find our way back to that.
Well, we don't quit. And I think that's part of who we are is we never quit, almost to a fault. And
True.
But that's there's the good and bad to that. And the good of it is that we've always been fighters and we've always fought together. Sometimes we fought with each other.
Also true.
I think John Shank, our director of In Waves and War, said one time that you guys fight passionately. And
we still do.
We still fight passionately.
Yeah.
It's just the way we are. We're both only children and we want to get our way. And when you put two only children together, things happen.
This is true. I have spent 26 years sacrificing what I want so you could have it as your only child self. Just kidding. But we have a history of fighting hard, fighting for our marriage, fighting for our family, now fighting for other marriages and other families. And I think that there's a certain level of responsibility that we have in sort of having charted our course back together. And we can share a lot of those things with others that are going through this same process. But first, before we get into that, take me back to when we first met. I don't think I've ever asked you this. Like, what were you thinking? I'll tell you what I was thinking.
We met at Cuckoo's.
Which Cuckoo's is a bowling alley / nightclub / sand volleyball court.
I remember seeing you and just thinking, damn, who is that? And one of my close friends and teammates, Jason Krivis, said, that's Coach Watson's daughter. And I went, oh,
well, I walked in and saw you and I was like, oh, you're the troublemaker because of this whole fight that happened. And my dad was your coach and my dad couldn't go get my car with me because you had gotten in the fight the night before. And so I'd seen your picture in the paper. We talked about this in episode 1 of the podcast.
Yeah,
and
you were feisty. I was like, damn, she's feisty.
Yeah.
And you were still in high school.
Yeah. All true.
Yeah.
But were you looking through the program guide or something when you were deciding to go to Southern Illinois?
Yeah, years before that, you're exactly right. I was looking through the football program guide and I read, I was reading Coach Watson's bio and he said that he had a daughter. And I immediately was like, oh, that's interesting.
Well, it listed our ages too.
Right. I mean, I thought about it for a split second and that was it. And I didn't meet you. Well, we met briefly. Actually, we didn't talk at a golf tournament that we worked with the team. And you were there and you looked extremely angry, like you didn't want to be there.
Well, I spent a lot of my teenage years being angry. And yeah, I mean, and my dad was very like, you don't go around the football team, whatever. So I think I was there like working it too or something.
You were working the table. Yeah. But nobody said anything to you. I didn't come over and say hello. I just remember looking at you and
I was probably a sophomore in high school or junior in high school or something.
You just looked angry and didn't want to be there.
Yeah, I was just back at home and I saw some videos of myself and I looked angry. I mean, I think about that kid, that teenager, because there were other videos too of me as like a younger child, and you just see like what life experiences can do to someone and like that narrative that you start to tell yourself and you start to believe and reinforce with this repetitive thinking that comes from a place of wanting to protect yourself. And so when I met you, I was like carrying a lot of teenage type burden, anger, and just like this very guarded ego and not wanting to like let anyone in. But, I had never met anyone like you. And when I first saw you, I was like, well, I'd seen your picture in the paper and I went from being mad at you for the whole car thing. Like my dad wouldn't go get the car with me. And I saw your picture in the paper and I was like, oh, dang. Like he is really hot. And then, of course, it said you were 6'4", 220, I think. And I was like, those stats are really, really impressive.
Those are your stats, huh?
So, yeah. So when I saw you in real life, I was very taken aback. And I did probably come off as feisty because I was trying to play it cool. But on the inside, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's really him. And I think I immediately like sensed something in you that I would know you better. Or I just really had a connection or something.
You wanted to know me better.
I did, but I also was like I knew we would meet. I've been very intuitive for a lot of my life.
Forever. And I was holding nothing at all. I was in college playing football and having just a blast. Let's go back a little bit. What was your goal for the summer?
I mean, admittedly, it was like just to say I dated you for maybe like 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks. That's all you were giving me?
I was 17. I thought that I thought that you were so out of my league, yet I still kind of carried this confidence
I was out of your league. Yeah.
Oh, please. I can say it. You can't.
I married up. Let's be honest. I married up.
Thank you. Anyway, I just felt like you're like the hottest thing at SIU. You're the quarterback. You're like, everyone knows who you are. And then I started hanging out with you and I really saw that. You were just so charismatic. Everyone gravitated towards you. Everyone loved to say they knew you. And I just was like, who am I? I'm like a small town senior in high school. I had a retainer with a flipper tooth on it. I couldn't take it out or else I would be toothless. It didn't glow in the dark and you had a black light in your room.
Remember my black light in the room? And we used to put it on all the time and we used to make you smile and you could just see that one.
That is a genetic thing. I don't have a tooth there. Anyway, so we spent a lot of time together that summer. And I think I thought that we would probably break up at the end of the summer. And, your football season was starting. My dad found out we were dating. Like that whole thing happened. And I just was like, I don't see how we're staying together. But we did.
Well, we were inseparable when we met. I think from the day we met, we were almost together all the time.
We were together every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that sort of foundation of just feeling so connected to you. I'd never met anyone like you. And by the way, like I couldn't have said these things to you years ago.
I wouldn't even know what they meant.
Because I wouldn't have been able to give you the satisfaction that I was like that enamored with you, or that like it was too risky for me to let you know that I was feeling that kind of love for you, because it could hurt me. Like I was not confident enough to feel like I could be that vulnerable. But now I am. And I think that that's been a process too.
I mean, I think now it's different.
It is different, but that I think is why it works now, because we did have this very kind of fast and furious way that we met. And then you decided to go into the military. And then, of course, 9/11 and all the deployments, blah, blah, blah. And then we became very distant and very different. And I had to adapt.
Yeah, I
And
mean, we were forced to be distant because we were. I mean, geographically, we were distant. We were
yeah.
away from each other a lot, and you kind of grow apart. I mean, we really didn't have a chance to grow together, and I think that was.
Well, and I held so much anger and resentment towards you because
See, it wasn't all me.
No, it wasn't. But the cycles of deployment and being all in and the SEAL teams, you have to sacrifice your family and your relationships. You can't be all things to all people.
No.
And so the family oftentimes sacrifices, unfortunately. And plus we were so young.
Yeah, I mean, we had like innocent love at a young age, and I think that was part of it too. And who knows what you are and how you're going to change in the future. I don't think many people really think about that when they meet someone. I think that's why so many people have struggles, midlife, if you want to call it, after you have children. You're working professionally, you're raising kids. It's not the same fire as when you were dating at an early age. And, couples grow apart, people grow apart. And, we grew apart. There was times, and we've talked about this, where it was tough to be in the same room with each other. And we were able to get past that.
Yeah. Well, it's taken a lot of time and intention. And I think it's really taken a lot of work on both of our parts as individuals. Like, we went to couples therapy once, and it felt like very divisive in some ways, because it was like I was forcing you to go and you were mad that you went, and we didn't really accomplish anything. And it was
I
like,
think we were remember we left angry at each other. We didn't even speak. We got in our cars and took off. I mean, it was actually painful. Couples therapy was absolutely painful. I hesitate to recommend it to anyone.
well, it can be effective, but you have to want to show up.
It's supposed to be effective, but from my experience, and many people I've talked to have not had good experiences with couples therapy, because I think at the end of the day, you have to work on yourself, right? And if it's very difficult to work on yourself when you're doing couples therapy, and especially when you're with each other. You're already holding resentment and anger.
And there's this whole like competition of like, I'm going to get the therapist on my side. You're going to get the therapist
and you're blaming each other, right? So you're constantly blaming each other for everything. And at the end of the day, we all know that you have to blame yourself. Yeah, you got to look at yourself in the mirror every day. And if you change yourself, you can change your relationships. I can't force you to change, and you can't force me to change. We have to do it on our own. And I think that's the biggest takeaway, is that it's important to work on each other, but it's more important to work on yourself first. Fix yourself, and you can fix each other.
Yeah. And I don't even like to talk in absolutes, like heal or fix or cure. It's never done.
Yeah, it's always a journey. Yeah.
In process. And so who I am today is way different than who I was even a year ago, or 3 or 5 or 10 years ago. Like, it's this constant evolution. And I could have never shown up for you or our marriage unless I started showing up for myself.
And when was this? So let's go back a little bit, because we met in 97, and then I went in the military in 2000 after graduation.
And our son Caden was born in 2000, the month before you went in.
So I would say almost 97, 07, 20 years. So to 2017,
good grief,
when I did ibogaine, we were on this like really like roller coaster ride of emotions and relationship and struggles and just stupid decisions. And just fighting.
Yeah.
But we had great highs, and we had horrible lows. And I mean, let's be real, like we probably shouldn't be together.
For what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, most people
Like
would,
statistically speaking?
yeah, I mean, most people at our stage would have just bailed out, would have, pulled the ripcord.
Why didn't you do that?
I mean, I don't know, because I'm hard headed and I loved you. And, I look at you now and I believe you're perfect.
Aw.
You're amazing. You're beautiful. It took me many years to realize that you're brilliant.
Well, gee, thanks, babe.
I got to be real here. This is Conversations with the Capones. This is real shit. Yeah, I mean, it took me a long time because I just looked at you as the girl I met in college, and you were in high school, and we dated, and then we had our children, and you raised the kids, and that's how I viewed you the whole time. And until you kind of broke out of your shell, and the kids were a little bit older, and you started getting out there and taking care of yourself, and not just being a mom, and taking charge of the home every day. Like I just saw you as like a woman and this powerful, incredible boss bitch that I love. And I love that about you because you're extremely intelligent. You're the most beautiful person I've ever seen.
Aw.
But most importantly, and when you and I we do our date nights, I tell you all the time that you are the most beautiful person I've ever seen. But more importantly, you have the biggest heart I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone love me, love our family, love our dog, Charlie, and just love people and love your mission, our mission, and love helping so many people. And I see it. And I don't think anybody realizes the amount of effort that you put into your passion, which is really just our family. It's us. It is the work, but it's us.
Well, it's fighting for other families as hard as we fought for our own.
Yeah, I just want to I want to stay on this point though, is that when we started Vets, nobody knows that when we initially started Vets, we were working with another group, and they used to dose the guys on Thursday night. And do you remember? Like you couldn't sleep. You stayed up all night praying. Praying that those guys would have the same experience that I had, the same life-changing experience.
And praying for their families.
Yeah. Nobody sees that. Nobody knows that. Nobody knows that you literally couldn't sleep because you prayed that no one would get hurt. You prayed that they would come out okay. You prayed that they would be whole again. And I saw that in you, and I saw that who you really are. And it took me so many years to realize that.
Well, thanks for realizing it. It's, things like that are not things that, the world even really needs to know. But I really appreciate you saying it because it is true. But I didn't do that for recognition or anything other than just, it felt like the right thing to do. And it really still means everything
Who
to
stays
me.
up all night caring about people, hoping that they heal, hoping that they keep their families together.
Yeah.
Hoping that their kids get their dad back. Like that. No,
Yeah.
I mean, that there is no recognition for that other than, selfishly, you feel good about yourself because this is what you want to do. I mean, everyone's selfish in a way because they do things that make them feel good, make them feel, purposeful and driven and are able to, get out of bed every morning. And you found it.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
But it took me a long time to realize that. And now there's no going back. I mean, our relationship now is unbreakable.
Yeah. So the question I asked you is, why didn't you leave? And
That was too stupid to
could,
leave.
well, I mean, I think that underneath it all, we really did still love one another. And there was probably tad bit of stubbornness and codependency mixed in with like the
A
good
little bit.
things.
Sure.
But I would say if you asked me that question, I would say a few things. I knew that I would still love you even if I left you. And my ego could easily, like, I can white knuckle anything. I could have,
I mean, I think we both can, and I think that's, like I said, it's to a fault. It's extremely beneficial, but it's also, it's also it also can be detrimental.
for sure, I could have forced myself, but I had enough sense and wherewithal to know that if I forced myself, I would have to struggle with that every day for the rest of my life. And I would, we would uh, probably move on, find other people. I would never love someone else like I loved you. It would not be fair to that person because I would still love you. If I ever saw you with someone else, I would want to strangle her. I would probably be
Throat
physically
punch.
violent.
Probably throat puncher.
No, I'm kidding. But it would have been devastating
Yeah,
to me.
and I was the same way. Like, I can never picture you with someone else. I can never picture me with someone else. Like, loving them the same way. Cracking yourself open. Being connected. Everything else is really shallow.
Yeah.
And we have such a strong relationship. It's like, actually, I mean, now and again, it's come later in life. It's like, it's unfathomable.
Could you
to think of
imagine
that. No.
like what our friends like from the SEAL teams would think if we asked them 15 years ago, do you think we'll ever be in this position, like, close or helping other people navigate a relationship? They would be
90%
like,
of us don't, or more than 90%. I think the number's like 94% are not together.
divorce rate in the SEAL
Yeah,
teams.
it's extremely high.
Yeah. I didn't want to be a statistic. That's another reason. I'm just like very stubborn like that. Like, I will not be a statistic, but also didn't want to do that to the detriment of myself. So that's a fine line. But
And our kids.
yeah, of course, our
I mean,
kids.
we never wanted to do that to our kids. And I think there's so many marriages stay together because they don't want to ruin their kids, right? They don't want their kids to have, a single parent home.
And I grew up with divorced parents, and it's really tough. Blended families are really, really tough.
And they work. Plenty of them work. But also plenty of them have struggles. And
Yeah.
we just didn't want to, we didn't want to do any of that.
No. And then there are a couple of shallow reasons that I also stayed with you from time to time. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it goes back to the stats 6'4" and 220. There's not many guys walking around with that build.
Thanks, honey.
And that's like a baseline, like, starting point. And I was
I didn't have anything to do with this. It's
I know. Yeah, I know.
much
I'm
higher
like,
power.
I will
than
never
me.
find another tall, dark, handsome, jacked, hot guy that will compare to Marcus.
Keep going. This
I'm-
is awesome. We should
I
do this.
mean
We
it.
should do this once a day. You have to love who you're making love to.
Facts. Yeah, and I think I just knew that I would never be able to find someone, whether it was loving you or loving looking at you. I would never be able to find someone who checked all those boxes. But really, really, ultimately, you are such a genuinely good person, and you have such a pure, kind heart. You take care of people. You look out for people.
Someone told me the other day I was too nice. I didn't like that.
Well, that's where
I was
you
like,
have me. That's where I come in.
Yeah, that's right. We yin and yang well. I am too nice sometimes.
But really, even if it takes you a while to come to the right conclusion or do the right thing, you've always done it, even if it's in the 11th hour.
I always show up. I do. I mean, I do complain a lot. And
Oh, yeah, you're not perfect.
no, I'm just thinking when we're older, how much I'm going to complain.
No. These are neural pathways.
Get prepared for that.
For example,
Old people just complain. Because
this is a very important thing, and this could help someone. I used to have so much anger and resentment for you. The energy between us was really bad. It was like we couldn't stand to be in the same room with one another.
We bickered.
We were like very competitive. Like, you're not going to be right. I'm going to prove you wrong. I will be so stubborn that we were like fighting each other to the finish line.
I feel like we still go through a little bit of that.
A little. Yeah.
Why do you compete with me?
I don't compete with you. I say, okay.
Oh, really? She sends me her sleep score every day from our Sleep 8 mattress or 8 Sleep. And she's like, oh, look I had a 98%
Fake news.
sleep score tonight.
I wish I
My
had a 98.
HRV was 45. And
I am not competing with my sleep score.
well, she sends it to me every day.
Okay. Well, when we were in the same room, it was like very tense and we just had a lot of resentment toward each other. And I really worked hard to overcome that by recreating neural pathways. I would look at you and just be like, oh, I can't stand him. Like everything you would do would somehow annoy me. And instead of like getting on that track to start pulling in every bad thing and then this and then that and then, oh my gosh, and he left the dishes in the sink. I was just like, stop.
Right. Just clean the dishes out.
No, what I'm saying is the neural pathways that I had around how I was interpreting you.
Yeah, you were just looking at everything I did in a negative light and just not taking it for face value and going, okay, that's sometimes that's just the way it is. And the way you react to it, is that a reflection on me or is that a reflection on you? Right. And I think that's the whole part of healing and in this whole journey is that like we can't fix every single thing that our partner does. And we just have to accept this is the person who I married, who I love. And it is not going to be perfect. They're not going to be perfect. I'm definitely not going to be perfect. You're almost perfect in my opinion. But the things that I used to get annoyed at and used to fly off the handle, now I'm just like, that's why I married. That's Amber.
You kind of choose your battles, yeah.
I mean, for years, I used to get upset at like clothes you'd buy or the way you dress or this and that. I mean, I literally
What about the way I dress?
I mean, no, like you are always like over the top, right? Like extra. And I used to get annoyed at that.
That's a bad thing.
And well, but yes, I used to get annoyed at it because like you would spend money and I'd say, we don't have the money and you'd be wearing this and that. And then finally I was like, wait a minute, that's Amber. That's Amber Fab. Like, why would I get annoyed at that? And now, what is it? It's the opposite. I'm like, oh, you're going to buy those glasses? They're not big enough. Like buy bigger glasses. You're going to wear heels? Wear higher heels, like go big, like be you. And I just realized that I married you and the more you can be you, the happier you're going to be and the happier I'm going to be because I'm watching you enjoy yourself, enjoy your life. And it makes us, just be in a better place. And when I realized that, things got so much easier.
You bring up a really good point, and I want to talk more about that and without going too long because there's a lot of content here. We can continue this sort of discussion.
We are going to continue it for the next 5 or 10 years.
But the exercise that I did is similar to some of the other exercises that I shared in other episodes, the at least, for example, or finding 2 things for every bad thing. So one of the ways that I changed my neural pathways about you whenever I would look at you and try to, just immediately go to like every single thing that was wrong, I was like, stop. And I would just be like, he's so hot. Like
it goes back to the like, materialistic, very shallow. Well, he's so hot.
Do you really think I'm shallow?
Not at all. Actually, opposite.
Yeah.
No, that's why I say, I mean, more importantly, like, you're very good at throwing people off because people see you. And just like the Vietnam veteran at the Medal of Honor Museum, the first thing he said was like, damn, look at those long, thin legs. And I was like, yep, I married that. But that's what people see. And then you open your mouth and people go, oh, I didn't realize like her brain is as good looking as she is.
Thank you, babe.
Are people going to look at this and just be like, dude, they're so shallow?
No. My point in rewiring my brain like that was like, all of the stupid, shallow, surface level things that used to drive me nuts about you and fuel the resentment and anger and hostility that I felt. I just sort of replaced those shallow things with the fact that you're so good looking. And I was just like, this is, like, I'm so lucky. I literally look at you and my first thought now is, I'm so lucky. And that's what it did is like replace that negative thinking with I'm so lucky. And then of course, like there's your heart too. And I see how hard you fight for yourself and how hard you fight for others, and you show up for people in a way that, I really admire.
So is it good looking and then heart, or is it
No,
heart and then good
of
looking?
course it's heart, and
I
then
just want to make sure.
yeah, no, you're like the package, the
I'll
whole
let
package.
myself go if you want me to, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Please don't. Um, but really, no, it really is all of the things that make you you, and all of the silly things that drive me or drove me crazy. I'm just like, doesn't matter. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
No, you're talking about, neural pathways. I mean, that word is a bit, I don't know. Now everyone's talking about neural pathways, but like, let's talk about what that actually means. It's your brain's way of thinking a certain way, and you think a certain way for so many years. You dig those tracks in, and it's hard to get out of them. And so if you constantly are looking at somebody and you're constantly thinking something bad about that individual, well, you're just going to always think of something bad about that individual. You're going to only reinforce the negative, negative thoughts that are always coming to your mind
And then
about this.
that encourages more and more and more kind of pile
Yeah.
on. We could go on forever, but I want to circle back on what you said, because it really is the key to me for all of this. And that is, I could never show up for you or learn to love you or see you in a different way unless I learned to show up for myself. And so that like angry teenager that was so afraid of letting the walls of my heart down, um, was only compounded by this like anger and resentment and disconnection that I felt for you after all of the years of service. And then we went into this terrible transition period, and it would have been a lot easier for me to leave, but I chose to stay and I chose to fight. And part of that process was me doing the work on myself and learning to show up for myself and forgetting the formative years, like forgetting all of the baggage and bad stuff in the formative years, and really getting back to like who I was as a child before all of that anger came in. And when I learned to reconnect with that like little girl, that spirit, that tenacity before the difficulties of my teenage years, I started to love and appreciate myself, show up for myself differently, and really like reaffirm and grab hold to who I feel I was created to be. Whenever I became comfortable in my own skin and vulnerability was becoming easier for me, it became very clear to me that I had to keep showing up for myself. I wanted to fight for you, and I wanted our marriage to not only work and be salvaged, but be like continually improving. And we've really done that. And I'm so grateful that you've been willing to do the work and
Well,
show up
and
for
I've been
me.
doing the work and showing up too. I mean, you're a deeper thinker than I am. You're more intuitive, and so for me, I've also done the work. I don't think I thought about it as deep as you did, but I've been vulnerable. I've kind of let down my shield, right? I'm definitely a different person than I ever was. And I think, part of that, like you said, it was like the ego, right? The ego, we kind of had this little
Yeah.
ego
Oh,
competitive
for sure.
nature. And I think once you drop that, you can just be your authentic self. And, what you just said, it translates exactly to, my journey. And let's be real, I also thought the same thing, right? Like, why am I still here? Right? I can be so much happier, move on. You don't have to deal with these issues anymore. Like, what are you doing? And I also stuck it out. I said, I can work on myself. I don't want to leave my wife. I don't want to leave my children. And maybe if I got better, we would be better.
Well, yeah, facts.
Facts,
This
truth.
is your hypothesis rang true. I think that when two people are on paths that are sort of heading, they're like individual paths, and they're heading in the same direction as one another, like eventually you meet. and then you can continue on the journey together.
Yeah, now we're doing it together. I mean, just think of how much stronger we are together than when we were opposing each other so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
I
think we've
oftentimes think of
accomplished
that. And we're really
so
great.
much together.
We're really great. Like, your strengths are my weaknesses and vice versa. So, I think we're a really effective team, and we were opponents on the same team, which is just, we wasted a lot of years like that. 26 years, almost 3
Yeah,
decades
so
when you
26
add
years
how much
today.
time we dated. So, what's your one thing for staying together that long?
You have to. I mean, you have to find the right partner, right? You have to find the right partner because not everybody is going to stay together, and not everybody should stay together, right? We should be like honest. Some people get together for the wrong reasons, and they shouldn't stay together. But I think if you have a certain bond, like we've always had, there is a way to work it out. There is a way to work it out, and I'm so grateful that we put in the hard work because there's a reason that you have to, you have to go through the fire, right? I have my saying on my email signature, the only way is through. And it's really true. You always become stronger when you kind of bottom out.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say that it is a fighting spirit, and it's not fighting each other. It's just the willingness to not give up. Because I think there's this notion that, like, oh, it'll be easier. I'll just, move on.
Grass is always greener, right? Like I'm sorry.
There's this notion that, like, yeah, the grass is greener. I'll get rid of, one set of problems, not realizing that you kind of take on another. And sometimes it's worth earning your way out of a relationship and seeing if there's any possibility of fixing it along the way. And for us, there was, but for some, there are not. And it's not possible. So yeah, I would just say, like, the willingness to fight for yourself, show up for yourself, and show up for your partner. We'll talk more about it in the future. But happy anniversary, babe.
Happy anniversary.
I love you.
I love you. Now let's go eat dinner.